This is the all-new Precision Matthews PM-1440GT-VS. That's right, the highly anticipated variable speed version of the 1440 GT. And in this video, we're going to give you the complete lowdown. Hey guys, Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. This is an exciting day. We've got the all-new Precision Matthews PM-1440GT-VS. That's right, this is the variable speed version of the classic PM-1440GT, which is absolutely one of the best options for precision machinists or guys that want to do things like rifle barrel machining, chambering, muzzle threading, all of that. Okay, so here it is. So far, it's been a really smooth process. The FedEx freight guy showed up. We did a little maneuvering on the lift gate, used a forklift to get it onto the ground, did an uncrating, and then this time, instead of using two forks, we used on the forklift a fork extension, which is really long. It's about 8 feet long. And we had our spreaders as shown in the Precision Matthews manual in terms of how to safely lift the machine without damaging the feed rods or anything like that. We had two straps and one fork extension. Got it off the crate and into the shop, put it on pipe rollers here. We got it positioned roughly where we need it to go. Okay, so this is gonna be a great video. We're gonna get this machine cleaned up. We're gonna get it set up, gonna get it optimized for the uses that I have for it. We're gonna go through all of the specs. We're gonna go through all of the feeds and speeds, all of the levers, all of the knobs, all of the capabilities, and do some really fun demos. So I'm gonna waste no time. I'm gonna get this machine positioned. I'm gonna get it leveled. I'm gonna get it cleaned up, and we're gonna start cutting some chips. So the machine is set up. I'm really excited with how this turned out. Don't worry, I'm gonna break everything down in detail, but just to cover the basic bases, the machine is in place and leveled. It's been cleaned up. I actually installed a 3-inch lift kit, which I will talk about a little bit later. Critically, this covers ergonomics, including turning on the machine without having to lean over. For a taller person like myself, I'm about 5'11". This is critical, and it's a one-time investment you can make that will yield dividends for hundreds or thousands of hours worth of work. I took the same tooling racks that I had on the 1440 GT non-VS model on the headstock and along the back of the splash guard chip tray. We've got the MX200L DRO set up here. I connected it to power. I've got a custom tailstock DRO set up with a bump stop on the carriage. And so what I wanted to do is get straight into a basic operation and make some chips here with you so that you can see the machine under operation. So we're gonna go ahead and twist the stop button to turn the machine on. We have power indication here with this red light. This is our RPM. We have 3 different speed ranges. So we've got low, which goes from 36 to 140. You can see our RPM up here, which is really nice. Pretty accurate, actually. And then we have medium, which will be 126 to 510. And then we have high, which is going to go from 500 to 2,000. Woo! Cooking on the nose. Okay. Okay, so instead of dialing in the 4-jaw chuck, I decided to install the 3-jaw chuck because we don't need independent jaw movement for any of the demos that we're going to do in this video. So let's go ahead and do some quick turning. I'm gonna go ahead and pick my roughing tool here. One side note, again, I'll get into this more in a bit, but I've shimmed the tool post so that it matches the PM-1440 HVT2, the height within about 1/1000th of an inch. So now I can interchange tool holders since I'm running BXA Allura style on both machines. Really, really cool, I would say. Okay, so let's pick our feed rate. We've got 5.3 thousandths per revolution is going to be IWAC. We're already on IW. Flick over to A. This will be kind of a coarse feed. Over and up is going to be our longitudinal feed along the Z-axis. So let's go ahead and take the diameter down a bit. Take another pass for fun, more of a finishing pass, kind of a fine pass here. Real smooth. Okay, and now I guess we could go ahead and face it as well. To the left and down is going to be our inward movement along the x-axis. And I see that's not cleaning up the front, so we're going to take off a little bit more here. Kind of pushing that tool beyond what it would normally do optimally, not a problem. Okay. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of drilling. So I'm going to use a center drill to kind of get our center established here. And then we'll go ahead and drill, since I think just under 1/4 of an inch or so. Pretty common activity to be drilling. We could tap this hole if we wanted to, of course. We'll go ahead and do a little bit of a counter bore. So I'm going to use a Simtech boring bar on this. Really nice boring bars. We'll go ahead and we'll use power feed for this. So we're going to reverse the direction of feed so that we can power feed along X in that direction. This might be 60-61 or something like that. You can see it doesn't cut super clean. Okay, so I'm going to come out. We'll put a nice little chamfer on that. Okay. So just a super quick demo. 3 different speed ranges. We've got our feed, which I normally leave feeding from right to left, of course, along the X. Coolant, spindle speed control. We've got jog, our stop button, so we can stop the machine by pushing this in or hitting the brake while the machine is running. We have 2 different selector levers here, knobs, and 2 different selector levers here that are going to get us into all of our different ranges for feeds, for turning, and for threading operations as well. Okay, so let's talk numbers. I went to the Precision Matthews product page and printed out, circled, I think, the dimensions and specs that are important here. So I'm just going to run through this from start to finish. So the distance between centers, 40-inch. Swing over the bed is 14. Follow rest capacity is 1 inch. We've got a tailstock quill of Morse taper 3. Spindle bore diameter is just over 2 inches. 2.040, I believe, is what I measured. The spindle length is 15.5 inches. This is notable because if you're doing rifle barrel work, having that spindle be a bit shorter gives you a bit better reach when you don't want to take the barrel off the action and when you're going to be doing things like muzzle threading. The main lead screw is 8 TPI, so this is an English threaded machine, meaning that you can use the half nut lever for any of the English threads and not have to worry about stopping the machine, withdrawing the tool, and going reverse, which you will have to do if you're doing metric threading. But if your shop is like mine, that's the exception rather than the rule. We've got a D15 cam lock spindle, which there are a lot of different chuck backing plates and mounting options for. Compound travel of 3.5 inches, cross slide travel of 7 inches, quill travel of 4 inches. In terms of power, we have a 15 amp 240 volt requirement on the hookup. We can either do that with single phase or 3-phase wiring, so L1 and L2, or L1, L2, and L3, depending on what kind of circuit you have. It's a 3 horsepower motor. In terms of feeds, for longitudinal, we've got 2.6 thousandths up to 36.8 thousandths. For the cross slide, the feed rate range is 1.3 thousandths up to 18.4 thousandths per revolution. For inch threads, we can go from 3 to 56 TPI, and we've got 36 threading options total. For metric threads, we have 34 threading options ranging from 0.4 millimeters up to 7.2 millimeters pitch. Finally, the unit weighs 1,600 pounds. And in terms of what's included with the lathe, variable speed with Hitachi VFD Nachi Japanese spindle bearings, LED work light, reducing sleeve for headstock center, headstock dead center, tailstock dead center, thread chasing dial, steady rest, follow rest, coolant system, D15 faceplate, 12-inch diameter, cast iron leveling pads with bolts, and 5-year warranty. So one of the things I'm most excited about this lathe and the way I have it set up is the lift kit that I made out of 2.5-inch NPT cast iron pipe couplers. I put these in my other variable speed lathe, the HVT2. I've got a whole video on that. Basically, it machined the sides and the ends, and then machined a recess where the factory cast iron foot could sit but not move sideways. This gives us a level of stability and safety with the lathe that is super important. So what we proceeded to do is we cut down a whole bunch of sections of 2x4, used giant crowbars with 2x4s as a fulcrum on the floor, and incrementally lifted each end up until we were just over 3 inches above where we needed to be. Put the cast iron feet in, slid them under, and then screwed the machinery leveling screws down. I got out my Starrett Precision Machinery level, which is ultra precise. And then I also ordered a 19 millimeter ratcheting box hand wrench, right? And this is really great because when we go to make micro adjustments or screw the bolts down, we can do that a lot more effectively in that little pocket that is around each of the machinery leveling screws. I got the machine level perfectly, and I mean perfectly, because the next thing I did was to machine this rigid reamer holder, right? This is what I'm going to use to hold the reamer in the tailstock when I'm building rifles. We have to have a perfect baseline for that because we're machining it true so that it'll be perfectly collinear with the axis of the spindle. That is satisfying. And now when I go to start the machine, I can do that. I can do that without hunching over, right? The only two downsides are my brake is further off the floor, but that's not a huge issue because we've got braking built into the variable speed system. And then also if we want to move the machine around, we have to kind of lift it up again, lower it, take the lift kit sections out, and then move it. So that's just a little bit of overhead, but it's well worth it for the hundreds, if not thousands of hours I'll be working with this machine now at the perfect height. So let's talk about getting the lathe ready for gunsmithing. One of the things that I did that I also covered in the original PM-1440GT video was mod the side cover so that we can mount our lathe spider. The way the lathe spider works is it's got a pinch clamp right here. You see I have one Allen screw here. I loosen that, the spider comes off. I have an entire dedicated article and video about making this spider. So if we take off these two mounting screws here, we will see what's inside. Because I wanted to show you the mods that are necessary to the side cover to make this work. And so basically what it involves is cutting a lip out and cutting across here, and the whole piece basically comes off. I did a little bit of deburring. I painted it so that we didn't have corrosion. You can see in here the twin belt drive and the different gears. This is where you change gears if you're going to run metric. That's an important note. If you're threading in metric, you need to do a simple gear swap. It's not a big deal, but it's something to keep in mind. So that's the spider and side cover mods. So the other really important mod for gunsmithing, specifically rifle barrel chambering, is to have a tailstock DRO. Although I would recommend this for any metal lathe setup, because if you're doing things like precision drilling to a particular depth, yes, you can use the scale back here, but it is also nice to be able to track your depth with half-thousandth accuracy. Let me take the drill chuck out so that you can see this a little bit better. All right, so what this involves, I've got multiple pieces that were 3D printed by MK Machining. I've got a nice drill bit and accessories tray here built into the mount. The mount has a rotating plate that you mount. This is a Mitutoyo 4-inch scale that you mount this part to. And then as we go forward, we've got this collar on the front that I machined from round bar aluminum. It's got a precision bored internal diameter that corresponds to the quill diameter. It's got a pinch clamp that will secure it firmly in place. We've got a 5/16 inch bolt here that's depth adjustable so that it comes out and allows the scale to move parallel to the axis of the quill. Now we can go ahead and move this forward, zero it out. Now any additional cranking we do, we can track to a half-thousandth level of precision. Pretty cool. The other thing to note, right here, we've got a bump stop. This is a larger bump stop because of the way the cast iron is profiled here on the tailstock itself. So if we move this out of the way, when we're chambering, we can lock down our saddle, and then when we bump off of that, like that, clamp it in place, we know we're coming back to the same spot. All of this is critical for the rifle barrel chambering processes and procedures that I carry out. This went super smooth because I think this is about my 5th time doing it, and I can't wait to chamber a rifle on this lathe. Okay, so I wanted to show you a demo of taking a heavier cut, and part of the reason for that is this machine has this medium speed range, which is really nice to have. There's a few different ways that we can use these speed ranges: chambering with low, threading with medium, and general purpose turning with the high speed range. But we can also utilize medium to optimize torque utilization for these really heavy cuts. So I've got some steel chucked up here. We'll go ahead and touch off. I'm going to take off a full 100,000ths of an inch. So we'll zero there, and I'll just crank it in until we get all the way to 100. And let's listen to how much the machine slows down when we're taking this cut. So that is pretty good torque utilization there. Looks like I could use an insert with better chip braking for sure. But it shows you, this machine with its 3 horsepower motor can take some pretty decent cuts, and the rigidity of the lathe will accommodate some pretty good workflows. So there you go, a detailed walkthrough of the PM-1440GT-VS. I absolutely love this lathe. I think it's a big improvement over the original 1440 GT, which I used for years, and it gave me a lot of great service, but I do prefer the variable speed option. This also puts us ready for our first rifle build. I'll give you a little bit of a teaser. It's going to be the most optimized 7mm PRC rifle we've ever had. That's right, it's going to be on a medium action. It's going to use a Bat Vesper. It's going to have a really cool foundation stock, carbon 6-barrel, Hawkins Precision, optimized medium action Hunter mag, and DBM. So look for that here shortly. My big question for you is, what questions do you have about the PM-1440GT-VS? Were there any anecdotes, impressions, or specs that you're wondering about, or other questions that you have for me about how I've set this up? Like I mentioned, I covered a lot of that in the first 1440 GT video. This was our first chips right here. Really, really good surface finish, and this is the demo that we just did here in this video. So for general purpose machining, for ultra precision machining, for rifle gunsmithing, I think this lathe is an absolute winner, and we're going to put it through its paces in the next video, which will include threading, which I did not cover in this video. If you have any other stuff that you'd like to see or any other info, I can address that in the comments or in the 7PRC rifle build. Thank you very much for watching. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're watching Ultimate Reloader on TV and want to take advantage of free resources, exclusives, and hot deals, just hold your camera phone up to the QR code, tap on the link, fill out the information, boom, you're getting Ultimate Reloader emails. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. Thanks again for watching.